Hi, this is Kaustubhan from Physics Models. It gives me great pleasure to present to you this video about friction block on block with some experiments. Let's go back thousands of years to this stunning scene from the beginning of mankind. There's a guy pulling a block on block system. He's pulling the lower block, in fact. There's a downward incline coming down from his cave. I only hope the upper block doesn't fall on him. I wish we could go back in time and explain to him more about friction in this particular case. Let's do an experiment and exert a force on the lower block. It pulls along the upper block by friction in that interface. If the block is moving slowly, then it will pull along the upper block along with it. If the acceleration of the lower block is very high, there will be kinetic friction between the two blocks, and you can see that the upper block slides off and then does a somersault. That's due to inertia. So the static friction between the upper and lower block quickly became kinetic friction. In this case, I'm applying a initial force to the lower block and then withdrawing that force. Therefore, the lower block accelerates and then decelerates to a standstill. The upper block is initially pulled along by the static force of friction, but because the lower block comes to a standstill, then the upper block moves forward, changes to kinetic friction, and slides up to the edge of the lower block. I hope this doesn't happen to our caveman. Let's see this video again. The lower block pulls along the upper block by static friction. The moment the static friction changes to kinetic friction and sliding happens between the blocks, then it's no longer a system of masses, and the upper block will have its own separate acceleration as compared to the lower block. In this experiment, I'm again giving a force on the lower block and then stopping the force. So there is initial acceleration of the lower block and then deceleration till it comes to a standstill. The upper block, therefore, moves from static to kinetic friction, and then due to its inertia, it keeps moving forward, and then it somersaults and falls in front of the lower block. Here, there is no movement of the lower block. It means that the applied force is not greater than the rearward opposing force of static friction between the lower block and the ground. Now, if we give a sufficient force on the lower block causing a large acceleration, the upper block will not be able to sustain that and will move forward, but relatively it will slide back with respect to the lower block. You can repeat the experiments yourself with different kinds of blocks, and depending upon the coefficient of friction applicable between the upper and lower blocks, you will find that when the acceleration increases sufficiently, the kinetic friction will kick in, causing sliding of the upper block. Now I have placed a car on top of a lower block. Applying a force on the lower block causes the same frictional forces to act in the forward direction on the wheels of the car, which are in contact with the lower block. However, the frictional force causes the wheels to rotate in a clockwise direction, as we see it from here, which means a reversing direction for the car. So the tendency of the car to slide off from the block increases even more than a typical case of a block on a block. We will consider this in a separate video and not here. Let's get deeper into the physics part of it. Here is a 3D model of a block on block, and there's a green arrow on the right which shows it's being pulled towards the right hand side, and immediately There are opposing friction forces that are being set up there. You can see the red arrows between the lower block and the ground. You can see the smaller red arrows between the upper block and the lower block. And just remember that the upper block is being pulled purely by the friction forces. This is an important slide which gives the terms that we should use while talking about the various kinds of friction between the blocks, between the lower block and the ground, various kinds of forces that are acting, and so on. This will avoid a lot of confusion later on. We start applying the terms slowly. You can see the applied force as F that will lead to the net force, which we will call as F net. The frictional force between the upper and lower block is a small f with a subscript s or k. Similarly, the frictional force between the lower block and the ground is also shown there. In this slide, we describe the equations that we need to apply. All these are cases of force being applied on the lower block. You can see the 2D diagram on the right hand side of the slide, and you can see the equations 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go through these slowly to understand the difference between applied force, net force, friction of the small block, friction of the lower block. Here we take you through a typical question that you might face and which also explains the theory. Find the maximum applied force for which the lower block is just about to slide. So whenever you hear the words about to slide, just remember that it's static friction only that's getting applied and not the kinetic friction. And go through this in detail, apply Newton's second law and the simple principle of net force is equal to applied force minus the real world forces. Draw the free body diagrams and you will get the right answer. The chart below gives a kind of summarization of what's happening to various things in this whole picture. It's important to understand the effects of kinetic friction. The kinetic friction force is usually much lower than the static friction force. That's because the coefficient of kinetic friction is usually much lower than the coefficient of static friction. For us, that means that once a block starts sliding, it will slide really fast. The second point to note is that unlike static friction, kinetic friction does not have a limiting maximum force. It doesn't have a zero and a maximum. It has only one single value. Here is another typical question. Find the maximum applied force for which there is no relative sliding between the blocks. That means we have to keep pulling the lower block with a larger and larger force till such time as the upper block does not slide. So here you have to remember that the lower block has started sliding, so there is kinetic friction with the ground. But upper block should not slide, so there should be static friction between the upper and lower block. The rest of that is similar to what we did before. Go through it and you will be able to understand very clearly. The table below summarizes the status for the various things. This is a third kind of problem that you might come across. Question says that if the applied force is higher than the maximum force in the previous case too, find the acceleration of the two blocks. So that means that the lower block is certainly sliding on the ground with a higher force and higher acceleration. So kinetic force of friction certainly applies for the lower block. But the upper block also must have started sliding with respect to the lower block. So you have a kinetic force of friction between the upper and lower blocks. The rest of the solution is given here in this slide. You can go through it and you should not have any difficulty in tackling problems of this type. Coming back to our great person thousands of years ago, I wish we could all tell him to control the acceleration of the lower block such that the upper block doesn't fall on it. If you enjoyed this video, do share it and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and have a great day.